back, it's starting from the perspective of learning, right? Thinking about what kinds of learning, what kinds of literacy we're all hoping to develop for ourselves, for our community, for the young people who are in our lives, and then thinking about how might technology play a role in that. So I'm really hoping that we can kind of take this moment, these 5 or 6 minutes, to think expansively about what learning looks like. So as everyone here knows, there's a lot of investment that people are putting into using technology to support education and learning. And this field is so big that there's a lot of different approaches that people have taken in this process. But most of what we see in this space, most of the kinds of learning that are imagined are really about individualized and personalized forms of learning, right? So what we often see within like sort of future visions of what learning in the classroom looks like is something like this, where we have students sitting behind a computer individually, doing things at their own pace, personalized, and all these great things that are important and they do help. But as an educator, as somebody who spends a lot of time working with young people, we really hear a lot about how this isn't the kind of learning that they want to do. In fact, a couple years ago, some students who were using these technologies in their schools staged a walkout because they really wanted spaces where they could be heard, talk with each other, to kind of build new worlds, right? So I wanted to think a little bit more extensively with you all about the kinds of learning that are both things that we hear from students and teachers, but are also things that are really grounded in evidence about how learning happens in all kinds of contexts, both for young people as young as 5 or 6 years old, to high school students, to college students, all the way to adults. And I wanted to emphasize 3 different dimensions of this. When I'm an educator and I think about what learning looks like, I think of classrooms that are really loud. Everyone's laughing, and there's lots of joy in that space, right? People are making sense of things together. It's like a really robust thing. It's not a place where there's a teacher up there giving instructions and everyone's listening. I also think a lot about care and mutual support, right? We can probably all remember a time when we were really struggling with something personally, and it was hard to learn inside the classroom. And that's something that often is really missing a lot of learning services. And then finally, this really ties into the theme around civics. There's a lot of learning that happens in our collaboration, the imagination, and sort of the collective building of new worlds, right? When we're hacking things, when we're building things, we're imagining a new future that technology is helping us move towards, right? So there is this civics aspect of teaching and learning that is really, really important. But what's really important across all 3 of these dimensions is we're talking about learning that is really social, right? It's not a student, one student sitting in front of one computer or one tablet or one phone learning something. It's a group of people learning together around a piece of technology. So how can we support these kinds of learning, these kinds of collaborative civics-based learning within classrooms? And I wanted to give one example of a tool that me and my team out of CU Boulder and BU have been building and actually been rolling out into classrooms. And it's a tool called the ISAT Community Builder. And the goal of this tool is for students and teachers to collectively negotiate how they want to be supported in collaboration. It could be examples like, I want to make sure that my ideas are picked up by other people in the classroom. I want to make sure that students are being respectful to each other. So our tool here listens to these conversations and then automatically detects and supports teachers and students in having conversations around what ideal collaboration looks like. And this is just one type of example about how, again, we're not thinking about tools and individuals, but thinking about tools supporting groups of people in learning together, building worlds that they want to live in. So what are some examples of tools that you might all think about building today? And I wanted to offer 3 metaphors for how technology might support learning within all kinds of learning spaces. And I wanted to emphasize that all 3 of these metaphors are not from my imaginations, they're from a lot of the youth that we work with. This is the kinds of tools that they come up with, that we published about, and that we hope that people take on, and that they hope, the students themselves are hoping the technologies take on and build. So the first one is called mutual hug, right? And the mutual hug is kind of an interesting example that came up from the young people, where they thought about how technology could help them care for each other, right? How might it collect data about how I'm doing, And then I can take that data that's being collected about me and voluntarily share it with others who I trust. And then how might we have conversations then about how we might support each other in learning? Another example that they came up with was called the hype person. The hype person is just like, think of your friend that, like, no matter what you're saying, no matter how bad the idea you feel it is, they're helping you pick up that idea, right? So what the hype person is it's a technology that helps us hype up ideas from members of a group that might have been discarded within the conversation. And the last one that I'm personally most excited about is called the dream builder, right? And this is especially important in this political moment where there's a lot of people imposing their imagination of the future on what we're doing. And it's more important than ever for learners to have a chance to imagine new possible worlds for themselves and their communities. So what does technology look like that helps groups of people think about imagining new, just, hopeful, joyful worlds that they hope to live in? So I wanted to offer those three metaphors as a starting point, but I'm more than happy to be here. I'll be here for the next few hours and stick around and think and brainstorm with you all about what some of these looks like or other metaphors that you were thinking about from your own experiences. And that brings me just to my final note here. And I really, everyone here has experiences being a learner in all kinds of different contexts, right? And I think it's really important when we start to build new technologies to think about our own experiences and the people around us, right? And we all have, I'm sure we all have some kind of learning experience where we felt joy, where we felt cared for, and where we really felt excited for the future. And just starting with that and thinking about where that takes you, I think is a really generative place for thinking about what kinds of things we might want to hack in the next 24 hours. So I'll end there, and I really appreciate your all's attention, and feel free to find me and chat more afterwards if you're interested. Thanks.